With me is Roger Mahan once again, and Roger, welcome back to our little show. And I have to say, I've just admired what you've got in your collection here in Geraldine and your Heritage Museum. And behind us is a tank, and it was made in Tamuka about 1942 with regard to the Japanese invading us, and so somebody thought, well, if we build a tank, at least we've got something to face them with, as it were. So this tank was put together, I think, by the Ministry of Works at the time?
Yep. Well, they were called Public Works at the time.
Public Works.
Yes, before the Ministry of Works came along. And they had a very good engineering works.
Right.
Where this was made there.
So somebody's designed this?
Yes, they had a chap who designed it, and he did a pretty good job, really.
Yes, because all he's got to work with is an old bulldozer.
Well, they were going to do about a dozen of them.
A dozen?
A dozen, yeah.
So we're going to face the Japanese with a dozen of these things?
Oh, well, scatter them up and down the coast.
Yes.
And one of the places where they thought the Japanese might favour is towards Caroline Bay.
Oh, okay.
So they would be really spending all their time around the built-up area.
Sure. So it's got a D8 is the basis of this tank. A D8.
Yes, it is a D8 motor. What they call a D1300 motor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go up and have a look in the cabin in a minute, folks. And when you're sitting in that, to operate this thing, so you've got all the levers you would normally have, but you wouldn't have all that angle iron covering over you. So sitting in that seat, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to see where you're going. So they've got somebody lying across the top of the engine with his head out looking, telling the bloke on the levers, left, right.
Well, they had to have two other guys, preferably, which could just do the looking and passing the instruction on to the operator of the tank.
Yes. So a tank, I guess, in war situations, is just designed to sort of just go over anything, everything, and just go in a line, even cross a river if they had to.
Well, these would certainly climb where an ordinary tank would, or may even do better.
Yes, well, so just looking at the side up here, up behind me, in the middle, there's these gun ports all around this thing. Yeah. And so from the inside, somebody's sort of operating a gun of some sort.
Yes.
And so the engine's going with the D8 and the guns are firing. It must have been very noisy in there.
Yes, it was, but you just had to control those noises the best you can.
Yeah, right, yeah. So they wouldn't have had earmuffs, would they?
No, but the cotton wool does a good job too, though.
Cotton wool in the ears, yeah. Block them all up.
Yes. Yeah.
So what we're going to do, folks, we'll pop up that ladder just there and we'll have a look around the inside of this Kiwi tank. So we're inside, Roger. Below us is the Cat engine. You can just sort of see the bulldozer layout as normally. And on each wall there's a round circle into which is a gun put in. So there's one at the back, one on each side, one up in here and one on the front. And that's what you had. You can see the inside of the angle iron bits too. Yes. And I guess the angle iron is to deflect the bullet if people are firing at you.
Yes, obviously that must be some technical thing which they had as an advantage.
Yes. Mm. So you got 3 men in here? 3?
Yeah, about 3. Yeah.
Yep. So we've got an operator, somebody yes. laying on this, and then there's the guns to operate, so I guess you all took a turn on that.
Yes.
And depending on where the enemy is coming from, yes. depends on which gun you would attend. But it's, as I said, sitting in that operator's seat there, you've got no idea where you're going. So you've got to have somebody telling you left or right, or where to go.
Yes, that's right here.
Now, just beside us here, we've got some bicycle seats on an arm. So I guess that's where your fellow operators sat while you were travelling along.
Yes.
And travelling along the terrain would have been quite a ride.
It certainly would be, Bill. They'd be very reliant on the operators of the D8 to pick the best little travel as they went, the best ground to travel on.
Yes. Well, anyway, I just think this is a Kiwi ingenuity to the absolute max.
Yes.
I see the army people weren't too impressed with it, but they could see its advantages, and so they sort of, oh well, we'll do this, do that, and we'll make it work.
Well, I think one of the big things behind it all was a morale booster, like the Jips were on the way down here,
Yes.
and they had a couple of landings over at Long Beach. They came ashore and went away again. Excuse me. But they did, and would have been quite effective at short range.
Yes, I'm sure it would have. Well, there you go, folks. So a little bit of Kiwi history and what we did in the Second World War to help defend ourselves. Roger, beside us are two graders. There's this one here that says PWD.
D?
Yep. Stands for?
Public Works Department.
The Public Works Department. And that's before the Ministry of Works Department.
Yesterday it is.
But back in this time, would this be 1940s, 1950s, 1930s?
Oh no, earlier than that.
Really? Into the 20s?
Just coming out of the slump, I'd say. But
Okay, into 1930.
Yeah, 1930s.
Yeah. And on this side, we've got a more modern grader. And we did a story a couple of weeks ago. At the Ross Brothers Museum, they've got a CAT 24H, it's called. Yes. Huge machine. They use it in mines and places that never came to New Zealand. Yeah. But this old girl here, on our four-wheel drive tracks, you go along a dusty road and all of a sudden round the corner, there's the grader working, getting the potholes out of the road, that sort of thing. And it was one of these. Yeah. And this is sort of the 60s, 70s sort of model.
That one there is, yes.
Yes. So I was just saying, this is the model grader that you see on New Zealand roads back in the day.
This one here was back in 1935, 36.
36, so this would have been around the 40s and 50s?
Oh no, earlier than that.
I mean, operational, I mean.
Oh yes, they did a lot of work.
Yes.
And they, Caterpillar built great motors, and the L3 cylinder motor chugged over. Its maximum revs was 750 revs a minute.
Wow.
But the operating was usually about 600.
Wow. I think we should have a look in the cabin and just see what the driver had to do. Yeah.
I'll follow you.
Okay, we're going to have a look in the cabin, folks. Looking into this cabin, Roger, we've got this sort of big box arrangement here, and it says fuel oil, lube oil, and there's two gauges there to tell you how the oil pressures are. And then on top it's got two ratchet sort of levers. Maybe you could just explain this to me.
Well, you've got your temperature control there, and the other one is for oil pressure. And those are the only two gauges which they had.
Oh, so that's it?
Yes.
Gauges? Who needs gauges? And then you've got a big lever here, which is
that's a gear lever.
Gear lever forward and back.
Yes.
And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levers in front of the operator, and then you've got a blade that can go, angles and what have you. Yes, so each one of those levers does a different operation.
It does, yes.
You know what they are?
Yes, I do. Well, you've got your moldboard, which you can swivel around. If you get it either way, have the putting a metal out to the left side, and you change, and they put it out the right side, and then you have the one for tilting the greater front wheels.
Yes.
To put a lean on them.
Yes.
2 more levers there, Bill, which are not too.
Oh, one of them would do the blade like this, I suppose.
Yes,
Yes.
different operations.
Yes,
Yeah.
you get a different slant on what have you.
Exactly.
So they aren't hydraulic,
No.
although they look like they're hydraulic to me, but they're not. They just operate a dog, which operates something like this.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're all mechanical.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess hydraulics hadn't turned up in the late
No,
30s.
they hadn't.
No.
Well, it took them a number of years to get the hydraulics right. They used to get them strong enough.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
but these old graders were a wonderful grader. They were still being used.
Yes.
25 years later.
So there's 1, 2, 3 pedals on the floor. I guess one's to operate the clutch for the gearbox, one's a brake, and there's another one here with a wire on it. I'm not quite sure what that does. Or is that a handbrake of sorts?
No, it's not. It is pull the pin out of the moldboard so you can angle it either way.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's a pin puller.
That's right.
Oh, well. And of course somewhere for the operator to sit, and off you go down the road, keeping the road nice. They would have used this in quarries and mining and that sort of thing?
No.
No, totally road.
Road work, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, here I am in the cafe, and it's just like going back to 1950. The chairs of the time, Formica I think it's all called, and the black and white floors. There's Elvis Presley over there, there's a jukebox over there, there's memorabilia behind me, that beautiful montage of cars behind me. There's even an old Dodgem. Remember the Dodgems that they used to show? Boom, boom, boom. Wonderful. And I'm having a big breakfast. It's bacon and eggs. And so if you come here with your group to have a look at the museum, you can sit down and have a wonderful meal before you even start. So look at that. Bacon and eggs, sausages, tomatoes, toast, mushrooms, the whole 9 yards. And a cup of tea to wash it all down. So there you go. When you come here, come and have a meal first and then enjoy yourself in the museum. Christmas isn't all that far away, and so if you're looking for a present for the truck driver or somebody interested in transport in your life, then my Talking Trucks book might be just the thing. So if you'd like a copy, just email me, billhohepper@extra.co.nz, and I'll take your details and I'll get a copy in the post to you. Now this book covers trucks basically heading back from about 1972 to the time they started making vehicles. So a good historical book, and tells you all about the New Zealand transport industry up until about 1972. So for a Christmas present, perfect. Email me, billhohepper@extra.co.nz. Roger, a 3-cylinder engine. And before we describe it, I understand that an odd number of cylinders is easier to tune than an even number of cylinders.
Well, you're right off track there actually, Bill. There's a 3-cylinder come about that they use the same sleeve and pistons for their machines from this one in particular. They were a D6 tractor, and which was a 3-cylinder motor at the time, and the D8 was the 6-cylinder one, and these got squashed between the two.
Okay. It seems, looking at that, it seems to have a very long stroke.
Yes, they have a very long stroke, but they were very low in revs.
Ah,
Yeah.
and plenty of low down torque.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
Yeah, well, it's and it's got Caterpillar stamped on it, of course, which makes it. So when did Caterpillar start? Early, didn't they?
There's a very, I think the great point about this machine is here that during the 1930s slump, well, we had a government which they set out to be as independent as possible. So they just bought the motor unit and the greater part, and some of the greater parts, and they built 6 of these graders.
Themselves?
Yes, themselves. They were very ingenious people and very clever engineers of the time.
Yes.
So the same sleeve and piston was the same as in the D6, which is only a 3-cylinder motor. The D7 is a 4-cylinder motor using the same sleeve and piston too.
Wow.
So the unification was quite extensive.
Yes. Good old Kiwi ingenuity.
It was, and it was all about the country was fairly. It was hard going, you know. They were only coming out of a slump,
Yes.
and they had to do things as effectively as possible.
As possible. In the life of a grader operator, you'd have to get on with yourself, wouldn't you? Because it's only you. You'd have a list of instructions of what you had to do for that day, and once you'd done it, I guess you'd take your grader back to the depot and get in your car and go home.
Yes, they quite a few of them pulled an old car or something behind, and I've even seen bicycles carried on.
Oh, that's right.
Carried
Yeah.
on too.
No, you
so
did
parked
right.
The grader up, and they.
Yeah, so they just park it where they stopped and get in
Yeah.
their. Well, I guess if they're towing a car, and you might see that, folks, on the road these days, there's a grader going along with towing a car or a ute or something along behind it. So when they get to the job, they just park the ute, do the job, and park the
right.
grader and get in the ute and go home.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Fair enough.
But they were a great grader, and they did many years of work.
Yes. Marvellous.
Yes. But those low revs, they were flat out at 750 revs a minute.
Wow.
And the 3-cylinder motor had a beat of its own as well.
Oh, what did that sound like?
Oh, it is a very
Distinct noise.
Yeah,
Like there was a 1-cylinder fishing boat that came out of the viaduct in Auckland. You could hear it coming for bloody miles.
Yeah.
Tunkata, punkata, 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 tunkata, punkata. That sort of a noise to it.
Yes, well, that would be possibly a Caterpillar motor similar to these.
Wow.
To these here.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Roger. What we're going to do now, folks, is we're going to pop outside, and out the back there he's got a very old dump truck that worked in Stockton back in the day. So we're going to have a look at an old dump truck. Roger, this is an old dump truck. Aveling, what's it called?
Aveling Barford.
Aveling Barford, and that's British.
And when they weren't going well, they called them Aveling Bastards.
Of course they did. So this is the dump truck before the cats turned up, I suppose.
No, they were sent out from England because
Yes.
we were forced to take as much
right.
stuff
From England as
yes,
possible.
Yes. And anyhow, first thing that happened to it got an English motor taken out and
Detroit.
yes, a Detroit, and the Detroit with those 12 cylinders, they went well.
Oh, really? So this has got 12-cylinder V6 in it.
Yes.
So it would have made a wonderful noise.
Oh yes, hear them from a mile away.
My Uncle Harry drove an old R190 with a 671 in it, and his wife could hear him come over a hill and then disappear into a valley.
Yes.
And when she heard that, it's time to put the tea on. He'll be home in half an hour.
Yes.
So this cabin behind me just looks like one of the old trucks. What are they called? Scammels. There was a big scammel that worked on the wharf down in New Plymouth, and there was a couple of others came to the country, but that scammel had a tie-up with Bedford in some way, but the door, has a sort of like a skinny door like this one's got. So I'm just wondering if there was a tie-up between those two trucks or not. And after this, I guess, would have come the Euclid, or even at the same time. The Euclid dump truck with 3 windows in the front and a stack up the middle of the bonnet.
They were one of the first out with a Euclid.
Oh, okay. So this came after the Euclid. or about the same time?
Or about the same time, possibly.
Yeah.
Within a year or two.
Sure. So this one looks like it's had a hard life, carried a rock or two in its time.
Well, it's had a bloody hard life, all right, Bill. And it comes from a rough climate and a rough material to be. It's carved some rough material around as well.
Yes.
Shock
Right.
rock.
Yeah. But I'm just looking at the state of that deck, for instance. I mean, it looks like with all this moss growing on it, it's been sitting outside for a while. And being at your place, I guess it's going to sit outside some more.
Well, we're not too sure. We'll put her inside later on after we'll have to do a complete sandblast.
Oh, okay, so you're going to tidy it up a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, good on you. Well, I think we should have a look in that cab, folks, and see what these truck drivers had to put up with during their time driving these things. Well, I'm sitting in the cab, Roger, and there's a reasonable amount of room, and I'm a big guy. And sitting in front of me here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gauges. There's a speedo, a rev counter, brakes, and this has got a gate gear like they used to have. And those Scammels have got the same gate gear business where you sort of got to go all the way to the sixth and then all the way back again to get into reverse if you needed to. But yeah, so it's just got so it's automatic. It's only got a brake and an accelerator. There's no clutch, so obviously you sort of went with the gears. And looking out that bonnet, we've got 2 exhaust pipes sitting out of the bonnet. I can see straight down here, so I've got a good view. Like the Scammels, I can see straight down the mudguard, so I can see where I'm going without having to sort of trying to look over a bonnet. I've got a good straight view down there. No idea why it's left-hand drive. I guess they went to America as well. But looking at the Pacifics we looked at a couple of shows ago in Canada, they've got an offset cab, which also gives you a good view down the mudguard, so you can see where you're going. So we've got a good view of this Aveling Barford or Barford truck, English built, just like the Scammels. And I'd say this is better built than the Scammels, having a quick look in here. But this thing's worked its butt off. As you can see, it's been hit a few times by rocks or bulldozers or loaders or whatever. So it's had a hard life, but a good life. And so it's here at Roger's Heritage Museum in Geraldine, if you'd like to take a look at it. Well, I've come into the museum now, and just looking around, there's all sorts of cars from the 50s and 60s, 30s. There's a couple of 20s in here even, and it's a magnificent collection. So there's lots and lots of stuff in this museum for you to look at. Lots and lots of stuff that's going to take you right back to the day. And if you're new, well, there's lots of stuff here about New Zealand history. So if you come here, you're coming to Railside Place, which is off Rifle Range Road in Hamilton. Certainly worth a look if you belong to a car club or some sort of a club and you want a place to go. This is the place to come, and you can start off with a meal in the cafe. Come and have a look, enjoy yourselves. I absolutely recommend it. Would you like to come and catch a pig with me tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent. Well, Roger, we've just looked at a small dump truck. Now we've come to a medium-sized modern-day dump truck, and this is 50 ton, 100 ton.
Yes, we carry about 60 to 70 tonne on them.
How many?
60 to 70.
60, 70 ton. So with your big diggers, that sort of would be about three buckets full?
But more than that.
A bit more than that?
About
Oh,
five.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Roger has a lime works down in Milton Way, and it's dig the line, put it in the trucks, take it to a machine that sort of reduces it down to powder.
Yes.
And then this would go and get another load, and so they're backwards and forwards the whole day long.
That's right.
In modern day terms, these get up to 200, 300, 400 tonne,
Yes, they do.
and you sort of got to climb your way
Yes.
all the way up to the cab that's way up there. And even driving this, I'd say, was like trying to drive your house from the kitchen. It's just massively wide.
Yes.
Do you think that?
No, because you get used to it, and it's just like driving the car up the road.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah,
But it's a 100-ton truck.
100 tonne. So we've just looked at an old Aveling Barford dump truck. Now we've come to a medium-sized modern-day dump truck, and you can certainly see the difference. This will carry 100 tonne. That'll probably carry 50, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is double the size of that, and of course these things go way up bigger than this. And some of the mines in Australia and America, these are absolutely enormous. This is enormous to me, and it's like driving your house.
Yes.
But as Roger said, once you get used to them, it's just like driving your little Mini up the road.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So there you go. Thank you very much, Roger.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
And if you want to come to Roger's place, it's about 3k short of Geraldine, which is down that way. On the right-hand side, once you've crossed over the bridge, or if you come from Geraldine, it's on the left-hand side, but it's about 3k out. There's a small fee to get in, but he's certainly got a great collection of things from yesteryear. Once again, Roger, thank you very much.
And thank you for coming, Bill.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. Beside me here is what it would have been like in the 1950s, a garage, and they sold Big Tree motor oil, White Star gasoline, Texaco, Pennzoil oil, Big Chief gasoline, and there's a DeSoto car underneath this little veranda, but it just looks the part. What it would have been like in the 1950s to go to the garage to get something. So the car is probably about a 1950, 51, thereabouts, which is pretty much the era they've aimed at. But this is in a place called Ormonville, and if you come on the way to Dannevirke, before you get to Dannevirke, there's a little town called Norsewood. And you go into Norsewood, and just opposite the little garage in Norsewood, you turn left and come down to this place called Ormonville. And you'll see this here. It's worth a look, and yeah, just what history might have looked like back in the day.